The following is me, Sarah Neila Elkins, reading Book of CoL Recovery 1, Part 3, on Friday, September 27th, 2024. Hello, and today I'm going to be reading Book of CoL Recovery 1, Part 3. Let's go. January 4th, 2030. Ash decided to organize a self-defense class for everyone. Dr. Hailu wasn't sure about it at first, but it seems like a good way to kill time between tests. I seem to be a lot better at martial arts than I used to be. I just have to watch someone do something once, and then I can manage to, too. Dr. Hailu theorizes it's because of my powers. I can do a backflip now, which is pretty sweet. Personal Journal of Paige Simmons, Volume 1, pages 172. There's no sign of the kids in the gym, of course, but we walk through it anyway. The staff lets us know that the teens slipped out the front and headed south, which means they're no longer in the apartment complex. What do we do now? Thunderskull asks as we stand on the sidewalk outside. He's gotten taller since we went outside, but still looks like a skeleton with horns and gently flaming eye sockets. Must be nice to stretch out. I feel bad for asking him to return to basic. Little Asgard Heights takes up several blocks, and as such, every side of the building has a street running its length. The one we're currently on, Substation Lane, runs downhill to the southeast. There's a green belt of a drainage area in that direction that's also a park surrounding Boggy Creek. It's possible the kids decided to double back to their apartment or to warn their friends, but they could have just as easily decided it was best to find somewhere nearby to hide. If I had my powers, I could look for clues they may have left, such as following the brief whiff of body spray I got a moment ago. It's the same one used in the apartment. I glance up at Thunderskull. How good are you at smells? I ask. What? Tracking scents, I clarify. I know you don't have a nose right now, but you can theoretically still perceive odors to hunt down those kids. At least one of them is wearing a lot of body spray. Thunderskull's eye flames dim, but don't go out entirely. He begins sniffing the air, his face still a skull. I think the action seems cartoonish, but most people would probably say he looks horrific given how anatomically accurate his bones are. I'm not most people, so I have to keep myself from giggling. I don't smell anything, he says. You may be too tall. He shrinks down to a modest 5'10", still taller than me, and sniffs again. Oh, I do smell something, like sandalwood. That's it. Can you follow it? I think so, he says with a nod. Lead the way. I'm surprised by how into tracking the scent Thunderskull gets. We've gone nearly the full length of Little Asgard Heights, 3 blocks, without him saying a word, me hot on his heels. I have to grab his shoulder to stop him from walking into traffic. Once the signal allows, we cross a busy street, still heading south, and continue on a few more blocks towards the Greenbelt area. Here's the illustration, which I still need to go back and finish. I need to go back and finish inking it. A few heads turn here and there as a skeleton man sniffs the air, and me, Book, follows close behind. I catch a few people snapping photos with their phones. I'm not entirely sure if they're more surprised to see me, or see Thunderskull, or me, to be honest. Either way, it's going to be oh so very nice when those hit the internet in about 30 seconds. The media finally stopped camping out in front of the building, and now they will certainly be back. Sorry, Greg, you can continue to hate me. It's stronger here, Thunderskull says. Then when we reach the entrance to the park. They probably stopped for a sec, I explain. I take in the area as Thunderskull leaves the sidewalk to follow a path of dead grass running down a gentle hillside towards some trees. I grabbed his shoulder again to stop him. Just ahead of us, past some shrubs, are 4 figures having a rather animated discussion. Stay here, I tell him. Hey, wait. I ignore him and approach the teenagers. You didn't need to run off like that. I just want to talk. They were too busy arguing with one another to see me walk up. The bigger teen, who's taller and heavier than me, panics and throws a punch. I counter as gently as I can, sweep his leg, and throw him onto his back, knocking the wind out of his lungs. Holy shit, his younger brother gasps. Don't kill him, the smaller kid who had been riding the wheelchair in the security footage pleads. Please, please don't kill Donnie, please. I shut my eyes and sigh. I'm not going to kill anyone. I just want to talk about the wheelchair you guys stole last month. They exchange glances as Donnie rolls over on his side and coughs a few times. It was Donnie's idea, his brother says. We'll never do it again, swear. I'm quick to throw your brother under the bus, I say. I just want to know what happened to it. You're all minors. I'm not a cop. We'll tell you where it is, Donnie wheezes. Where'd you learn to do that? Thunderskull asks as he follows me to the drainage culvert about a mile away from the park where we found the kids. Ash taught self-defense classes for fun between tests, I say. The tree guy? Yeah. A few of the rocks we've passed have had large droplets of dried blood on them. Thunderskull hasn't seemed to notice that. His eyes have been on me the whole time. Or rather, his eye sockets in flames, that is. He's back to his 7-foot-tall height. I can practically feel his stare boring into the top of my head. Why'd the tree guy teach you how to kick ass? How does he even know how to kick ass? I thought he liked plants. He does like plants. He never said it, but I got the feeling he was former military, I reply. He taught a mix of different martial arts, which made it hard to pin where he learned them otherwise. Ahead of us lies a concrete and steel drainage culvert covered in multiple layers of colorful graffiti. The kids must have reached it using the street above, because I highly doubt they followed the gravel trail next to the creek the way Thunderskull and I did. Not with the wheelchair, anyway. A small cluster of damaged office chairs sit with Renee's wheelchair on the flat portion of the drain. Everything's dry, as it hasn't rained the last 2 months, but there's more blood covering things in this area. We found it, I say. Come on. Thunderskull follows me to the chairs. He scratches his mandible while looking at the scene. What's with all this paint? It's covering up the graffiti. It's not paint, I reply. Renee's wheelchair is in rough shape. The seat had been slashed with a box cutter multiple times, exposing foam. The sides of the plastic base are cracked and damaged. One of the wheels is missing. And of course, it's covered in a thick layer of dried gore. My blood. I know it's mine and not Ezekiel's. We were over this area when he got a pretty nasty hit in on me. I had been distracted. He bit me. Neither of us were particularly small when it happened. I can see where the street passes nearby. The angle of splatter tells me this was the tail end of the splash zone. None of them were sitting on the wheelchair when it happened. The fabric and foam are so drenched I can't see their original color, but the kids certainly got doused while I was fighting Ezekiel last month. 4 pairs of dried footprints show they ran from the area. If it's not paint, what is it? Thunderskull asks. I take in a deep breath and let out a sigh. My blood. What? He's visibly confused and backing away from me when I turn around. Would you be up for carrying this back to the building? What? He asks again in disbelief. The wheelchair. Can you carry it? I'm only a Class D right now, so I can't manage it. He waves his hand in front of himself while shaking his hand in front of himself while he's shaking his head. What? No. I didn't sign up for carrying a blood-covered anything. I nod. Okay, then. The wheelchair is heavy. It has an internal battery at the base and a missing wheel. I try to push it, but the thing's motor fights me. The gears whine against the force I apply to it. Thunderskull stands there as I struggle with it. I can tip it up on 3 wheels and get it to move a few inches at a time, but it'll be a pain to get it up the incline next to the drain. Maybe I can do it with some rope thrown over the guardrail. If I had some rope. I squat down and look over the bottom portion of the wheelchair to see if I can remove the battery. As far as I can tell, it's built into the chassis. I get back up and try pushing again. I don't want to be here, I think to myself. I wish I was invisible at the very least. Whoa, what did you just do? I glance at Thunderskull. He's coming closer, a look of shock on his skeletal face that's apparently snuffed out his eye flames. I haven't done anything. I can't even push this chair more than a foot at a time. What? I ask. You said you're Class D right now, right? Yeah. So? He waves at me. You're invisible. Well, most of you anyway. You and your boots at least, not your shirt and your jeans. Class Ds can't do that, right? They can't. I hold up my arm and don't see anything. I shouldn't be able to do this, and yet I have. I focus on being visible and my arm reappears. What the fuck? I say. Is that normal? I'm in unknown territory, I say. Maybe it is for a Class S and cooldown? I'll carry it, he says. The chair. I'll carry it. You don't have to. I can pry some part with the serial number off and take it back. And no, he cuts me off. I'll carry it. You just focus on getting better. I admit, I'm in a bit of a daze as we walk back to Little Asgard Heights. Thunderskull has the wheelchair under his good arm. This time it's his turn to stop me from walking into traffic. We reach Renee's apartment shortly after getting into the building. I'm so sorry for the blood, I say. I can help cover your replacement costs if you need. She shakes her head. No, this is fine. Now the insurance will have to replace it. Did you find out who took it? A couple kids, I say. Thunderskull leans over my shoulder in the doorway. They won't be a problem again. Renee's eyes go wide. What did you do? Apparently I bled all over them last month and gave them a good scare today, I say. I really want to be anywhere else right now. You did it again, Thunderskull comments from behind me. What? You're invisible, Renee says. Shit, I say before reappearing. I've never had this kind of trouble with my powers before. This is weird. I am so sorry. Renee shakes her head and opens the storage area of the wheelchair. She smiles as she removes her wallet, then pulls out her cards, ID, some photos, and some cash. It's all here, she says, stunned. That's great. They must have not even looked in the back. Here, Renee says, before wheeling over to me and handing me 2 50s. For your trouble. But I said I'd do this for free. Take it. I do, and then hand it to Thunderskull. You had to do all the work. He glances at the money before shifting back to basic and pursing his lips. To my surprise, he hands me one of the 50s. If you refuse to take this, I'll throw you down the hole like a rag doll. I doubt you'd even try, but I'll take it, I reply. You're right. Recovery 1, Part 3.2. We're heading back to the second floor. Thunderskull has continued to follow me as I'm heading home, even though it would have been faster for him to just turn the corner from Renee's to get to his unit. He's hunched a bit so he doesn't hit his head on the ceiling of the elevator. The flames of his eyes flicker and dance without emitting any real heat at the moment, more illusion than real. So, what are you doing for Halloween? He asks as we exit into the hallway. I glance up at him. I don't know. I used to hand out candy in my old neighborhood. No one knew who I was. Not sure if any of the kids here will be brave enough to swing by my place. No, I mean for a costume, Thunderskull asks. You're a Class A right now. You could do something cool. I shake my head. I am not a Class A right now. You turned invisible, he counters. I did, but that's the only upper level thing I can do, I reply before stopping in my tracks. I've been thinking of it as D+. What? I can hold a shift longer than a D, but I can't do things a C can. So right now, I'm a Class D+, I explain with a laugh. I start walking again and he follows me. Honestly, I hadn't thought about Halloween. I'll probably just wear a witch hat and make my hair green or something if I go anywhere. Halloween's on a Monday. You're probably having a party, right? I wasn't going to have any more parties, Thunderskull says, far more meekly than a 7.5-foot tall skeleton man with one meat arm and a cast should. Why not? He shrugs before shrinking back to basic. No reason. I am very sorry about your arm, Thunderskull. You shouldn't feel obligated to stop doing something you enjoy. Just be mindful about people who have to go to work. And don't have things so loud. Really? Yeah. Then you have to come to my party, he says. I shake my head before starting towards my apartment again. I really don't think me coming to your party is a good idea. Like you said, I scare people. Don't think I haven't noticed everyone going basic around me, Thunderskull. Vicente, he says from behind me. And that's not why people are basic around you, Mr. Simmons. I stop again and turn around. Vicente? You can call me Vicente, he says. You don't have to call me Thunderskull all the time. Why would I call you Vicente when you're Thunderskull? I shake my head again. And what do you mean that's not why people are going basic around me? It's a bow, he says, sort of. I raise an eyebrow. A sign of respect, he explains. A few of us started doing it and word got around. That was my other theory, to be honest, I admit. Either way, there's no need to do that. It makes me feel weird. What? It feels weird to walk into a gym downstairs and everyone around me goes basic, like I'm somehow turning off their powers or something. It was strange even before I hit my cooldown, and it feels almost like I'm contagious, I say. It's good to get this off my chest. I hadn't realized it was bothering me this much. You feel weird with me like this? Thunderskull asks with his good arm out to the side. Yeah, I reply. I can see him processing what I've said, doing the math in his head, trying to grapple with the idea that I'm actually more comfortable with people being how they want rather than how they assume I'd prefer them to be. If he wants to be a 7-foot-tall skeleton with flaming eyes and horns, great for him. Go for it. That's fucking rad, dude. Seriously. Really? He asks. Really, I say. I don't want anyone changing who they are for me. I thought it was impressive you were able to drink fluids while you were a skeleton in your party. That takes skill. His eyes light up. Literally. There are flames. It's the only thing he's changed from his basic at the moment. Thunderskull points to his throat as his flesh vanishes and he becomes a skeleton again, albeit still his basic size. I keep the meaty bits, but make them invisible when I do that. My skin, hair, and muscles, it's all still there, but only my skeleton is visible. Also lets me still get drunk. Genius, I say. Really? Yeah, I confirm. Some people would just blip away everything and make a mess. You put some real thought into making it work. Excuse me, a deep voice says from behind me. I need to get into my place. Oh, sorry, I apologize before stepping out of the way of a large minotaur who's carrying several reusable grocery bags. They're wearing a security uniform, but not the one for the building. Abel, Thunderskull says. The minotaur squints. Thunderskull? I realize which apartment we've stopped at. It's the same one I broke into earlier. I can even smell the sandalwood body spray and stale laundry now that I'm paying attention. Thunderskull's horns sprout from his cranium before he grows a couple feet taller. "What are you doing here?" Abel asks. I don't know what to say without blurting out that I broke into this guy's house earlier. "Your kid stole some lady's wheelchair," Thunderskull says. "I wasn't going to rat them out," I think to myself. Being drenched in my blood and me scaring the shit out of them is probably enough. "What?" "He's right," I say as I get my phone out. "I'm Paige Simmons. I was hired by another resident to look for her stolen wheelchair. We found your sons on the security footage." Abel glances at me before setting his groceries by the door and returning to basic. He looks a lot like Donnie, except older. Milky white skin and light hair. The whole family could say they were my cousins and I'd believe them. He thumbs through the photos I have queued up on my phone and his face becomes flushed with anger. "Donnie and Dougie did this?" "Unfortunately, yes," I say. "We recovered the chair." "I'm going to kill them," Abel growls as short blonde horns sprout from the sides of his head and steam escapes his nose. "Pretty sure they thought I would," I say. He actually takes a step back before putting his hands up, his horns melting back into his skull. "I mean, I won't actually kill them. They're getting grounded. For life, I mean. I don't want to upset you, Book." Yeah, this is weird. Very much not used to people outside of the lab calling me Book to my face. The silence after that is palpable. I live around the bend from this guy and his kids. They're all terrified of me. My life sucks right now and I'd rather not be here. "You did it again," Thunderskull quips with a laugh. "Shit," I hiss before focusing on to become visible again. Abel seems more horrified than before because now I've shown I'm not nearly as powerless as I should be. I hold my hands out before me and take a deep calming breath, then count off things on my fingers slowly as I speak as evenly as I can. 1, your kids are terrified of me and very remorseful about what they've done. 2, you do not have to return to basic around me. It's weird. 3, I am not used to people calling me Book outside of the study, but that doesn't mean people have to stop. I just have to get used to people knowing who I am. 4, I am still in my cooldown period despite being able to randomly become invisible. And 5, I also have to get used to people being utterly terrified of me. Please be patient with me during this adjustment period." Abel blinks a few times. "I am exhausted and going home," I add. "You can ground your kids if you want, but maybe talk to them about what they've done instead of being mad at them. And for God's sake, don't tell them I'm going to eat them in the night or some shit. I've read about parents doing that before. I'm not some boogeyman. I don't eat people." He nods a few times before shapeshifting back into his minotaur form. His fur is red and white. Abel's ears wiggle a little. "I'll talk to my sons," he says. "Good. I'm going home now," I reply before walking away with my hands in my pockets. "Did it again," Thunderskull says with a laugh. "Damn it," I hiss. I don't bother to make myself visible. My clothing didn't vanish, so it's not like anyone's going to run into me. Plus, Thunderskull is still following me, and absolutely no one will miss him. I'm almost home and feel the 50 in my pocket. I close my fist around it as I stop at my apartment door. I want this day to be over. "Come to my party," Thunderskull says. "You can be the Invisible Man. It'll be great." That actually sounds like a great costume. "I'll think about it," I reply before reaching up to pat the top of his cast. Basically as close to his shoulder as I can get. "Thank you for helping me today, Thunderskull." "Anytime. This has been fun," he replies cheerfully. I'm going to take a load off. I pull my keys out and unlock the door, then remember the beer I bought last month, despite not even liking beer. "Would you want a 6-pack of beer?" "Doc says I shouldn't drink until my arm's healed," he says. "But thank you for the offer, Mr. Simmons." That makes sense. I stand there a moment, an invisible man in a hallway across from a 7-foot-tall talking skeleton with flaming eyes and horns. 10 years ago, this would have been really fucking weird. Now it feels strange if people look human around me. You don't have to call me Mr. Simmons. Call me Paige, I begin as I enter my apartment. Or Book. You got it, Book, he replies cheerfully. Have a good night, Thunderskull. It's not night, he says. Close enough for me. I'm gonna take a nap. I shut my door. I wonder how long it's going to take him to notice I slipped the other 50 into his cast. I hope it doesn't stay there long. It might get itchy. And that is the end of Book of CoL Recovery 1. Ooh. So thank you all for tuning in, or thank you for listening on YouTube if you're listening to the replays. If you've enjoyed listening to me read Book of CoL the Emperor Child and Book of CoL Recovery 1, please remember you can like and subscribe and read the series in its entirety on Tapas for free. But wait, there's more! Tapas currently has an action fantasy novel writing contest going on. My entry, Slayer of Yggdrasil, is available to read for free. Please like and subscribe to it and help me have a chance of winning the contest, or at least getting a job. Thank you. Bye.